Welcome back to Pizza Quest. I'm Peter Reinhardt. In the world of bread and pizza, there have been two important recent trends that we've been tracking here on Pizza Quest. The first is the surge in sourdough operations, both in pizza and in breads. The second trend is the emergence of small local flour mills and even smaller cottage bakeries. That is, breads that are made in home bakeries in small batches, often with flour milled at those local and regional mills, often with locally grown or heirloom grains that you won't find at your regular bakeries or on supermarket shelves. For the last 5 years or so, we've been lucky enough where I live here in Charlotte, North Carolina, to have such a cottage bakery built out of the carport of a home just 3 miles from where I live. The owners are Doug and Kaitlin Rose, who, along with their 4 children, bake amazing, and I say this from personal experience, and drop-ins to their house and bake shop for tasting sessions, 100% sourdough breads, bagels, cinnamon buns, pizzas, and even sourdough donuts. And they sell them by subscription and at farm markets to those lucky enough to be on their list. The growth of their bakery has been phenomenal, and it's beginning to look like that carport bake shop is no longer able to contain the demand for their products. They call their bakery Team Rose Breads, and Doug and Kaitlin Rose are here with us to tell us, in the words of another popular show, how they built it and how they're going to grow it in order to serve the demanding hordes who want more of their amazing breads. Doug and Kaitlin Rose, welcome to Pizza Quest.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Great to see you, Peter.
Well, it's always good to see you. Usually I see you in person when I'm at your place, but now we're doing it the Zoom way. So thank you for being part of this and for sharing your story. Let's talk about the vision that drives Team Rose. What was the quest you were on when you guys started this business?
I mean, I feel like this needs to begin with an origin story of our relationship, how we even met. Because
go ahead.
You're very much a part of it. Do you mind me sharing that?
No, go ahead. Yeah, it is an interesting story, and it's kind of the what would you call it? Just good fortune.
That's right. Well, I'll give like the condensed version. I had heard you, Peter, on NPR talking about one of your latest pizza books, and at that point, this was pre-COVID. We had zero, and I mean zero, aspirations of ever converting our carport into anything but a carport. And we were into making pizzas, and I came home, and I think I told Kaitlin about this guy I had heard on the radio, and I was like, I think I'm going to reach out to him, and I want to get to know him. And so I did, and I think you were a little taken back to hear from a stranger inviting you over to make pizzas, and you were very cordial, but I think declined. And then fast forward to COVID, for some reason, we were in the process of considering this carport to bread shop. And I was like, I think I'm going to reach out to that guy, Peter, again. And I did. And I was like, hey, I think you could really help us. And I'd love to try and help you with some social media. And it turns out you helped us way more than we were able to help you, mainly because of your skill and our lack of skill in that area.
Yeah, but you helped me figure out how to get on Instagram, which I had no idea how to do. So you were like my Instagram guru, and I became your bread.
You were the bread guru.
Yeah.
That's right. And so I'll never forget, we brought you a loaf of our bread, and we're like, hey, we're not even sure if this is any good. We're thinking about doing this crazy thing, turning our carport into a bread shop. You're the expert. What do you think? And you tried it, and you gave us really kind and generous feedback, and put a little bit of wind in our sails and made us believe that, okay, like let's go for it. Let's try this. And it was one of the encouragements that kind of put us on this path. So it began sort of out of like a vision of what it could become as far as a business. The vision primarily began as we want to do something that's in our home. We had 4 really young kids, ages 4 to 10 at the time. And we felt like baking would be something that would allow us to stay contained in our home, do something meaningful, involve them, and we really had no idea what it would become.
You had, prior to that, you had already done some kind of successful internet business, so you were familiar with how to use that medium, right?
I would say I had some businesses. I don't know how many of them would be considered successful.
Oh, yeah.
But Yes, I was familiar with just kind of
Sales.
the sales component, the marketing component. That felt natural to me. And Caitlin was more familiar with the baking side of things. She had been doing that.
Yes. So I started my journey with bread in like 2016, more just as a home person. I love being home. I was schooling my children. My husband loved baked goods. I thought it'd be fun to start making sourdough. So with a friend, we just started with a basic recipe and would make 2 loaves a week for our family. And then when friends would come for a meal, they're like, what is this? They never had bread like it before. It kind of evolved from there. I started making 2 loaves, then 4 loaves, then 8 loaves, and people started asking if they could buy it from me.
Yeah.
And that-
Sooner or later, somebody says those fateful words. You should sell these. You should open a business.
I'm like, oh, I could pay for my flour. That would be helpful.
You slowly got pulled down the rabbit hole.
Exactly.
So Doug, so when this all started, you really weren't that experienced as a baker. Kate had more experience going in, but now both of you together share the weight of the baking load of the business. How much bread are you currently making now? Now we're talking 5-6 years later after we first met. I mean, when we first connected, you hadn't even started the carpentry work on the carport, but then we saw it happen. I saw the carport turn into a little bake shop, and people were driving up to pick up their loaves of bread. But how much bread are you baking now, or product?
Well, I mean, that's it. Today's actually a bread day, so we do bread on Tuesdays and Fridays and some Saturdays, and everything is pre-ordered on Tuesdays and Fridays and then picked up at a location that's no longer our home just because of the volume of cars and just what we found to be the best course of action to keep everybody happy around.
I'm sure the neighbors are much happier now. But...
Yes, they are. Anyway, today we had a bread day and it was around 300 loaves. I don't remember the exact number, and around 650, 700 bagels. And while that was happening, we were also making around 150 challah for an order that's like for a school for tomorrow. So kind of all contiguously happening in a 200 square foot space.
200 square feet. And how many ovens?
We have 2 of those Rafco ovens.
They're like these cube-shaped ovens that can handle how many? 16 loaves at a time?
Held together with bungee cord.
Held together by bungee cord.
Well, they were brand new when you first got them. I remember. Yeah. You worked them pretty hard.
Good bang for your buck with those things. They're very manual. You got to inject steam on your own, and they're literally being held together by bungee cords, but they get the job done.
Why did you decide to make it focus totally on sourdough? I mean, you don't use any commercial yeast at all in any of your products, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So sourdough from day one. Was there a reason why you went down that route? And then after that, I want to talk about some of the choices you made with, heirloom flours and things like that.
I think the path of sourdough just felt like, we both played college sports. We both had a high view of food as fuel and fueling your bodies for active lifestyles, and had done minimal research but knew the impacts of sourdough and slow fermentation paired with organic grains that were grown in such a way where nothing was added to them and there was clearly no pesticides used, and just the promotion of a healthy lifestyle, healthy gut, that was appealing to us.
And I think, too, we had a child at the time when we started the business that wasn't eating gluten for several years of her life, 2 to 8. And we spent some time abroad, and she started eating gluten when we were there. And I think just recognizing that maybe she could tolerate it and that the best way to do that was through sourdough.
Interesting. So she responded then when you switched over to sourdough. She's able to digest that and handle it without any adverse effects.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, that you hear about people like that who say I can only eat sourdough, and you wonder what percentage of the people who are gluten sensitive would be helped in that regard. I know many are. And some have like celiac disease, and they just, even sourdough isn't going to work for them. But so you get feedback from your customers about that, from people that say, this is the only bread I can eat anymore?
Totally.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we love is hearing stories from customers, men, women, children who either never ate bread, stopped eating bread, and have rediscovered their love for bread on behalf of our providing them with it. So that's a huge lift for us when we hear stories like that. And we're not scientists, so I'm not here to claim that it's because of the sourdough or it's because it's organic flour or some combination of the two. But I do think there is this undercurrent of people within Charlotte that, and we've never spent a single dollar on marketing. Everything has been word of mouth. And you take somebody that thinks they can't eat bread and they discover they can eat it.
Oh, yeah.
And they become a very active marketer for you, and they will tell all of their friends. And so we've found that to be true.
Well, that is, of course, word of mouth is always the best way. But you did have, going back to our very beginnings, you did have that experience of knowing how to use the internet, and so you're very visible on Instagram, and I'm very, what's the word? I'm rarely on any social media, but when I go on Instagram, I most always see a post from Team Rose Breads on there, and they're not just posts of your product. Sometimes they're poems that you've written. There's stories about you and the kids going hiking or camping, or it seems like you're all runners. So there are some days where the post is all about the kids doing 1 mile runs with you or something like that. I mean, it's it's a family thing that's going on, not just a bread thing.
Sure. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can ask the question, Peter, but I would think that that's a huge part of even when we started the business. It was during COVID. We were homeschooling our 4 kids, so they were always here. And, so much a part of wanting to have our business out of our home was in those sweet golden years of 4 to 10. And now the past 5, so they've all aged, but we've gotten to be around them as we work and show them what it means to work, invite them into work, but also just experiencing their childhood with them, which has been a huge blessing.
And you call it Team Rose because the team is the whole family. But so how much of the team, of the younger part of the team, are actually actively involved in the bread? I've gone in times and seen the kids shaping the hollow loaves and doing, maybe shaping, I don't even, some of the other breads that you're doing, and working at different stations. So it really is a family bakery, huh?
Yes. I mean, in the beginning, our oldest was helping Doug at the markets. I mean, she was front of house. She was doing all the financing. She was doing that quicker
She
than...
was always the marketing person. It seemed like
Yeah.
she was a natural born marketer.
Exactly.
She had if I recall at the very beginning, she had a merch table of some sort,
Oh, totally.
of things that she was making.
Yeah, I would say that's kind of been the push and pull of this business, is like finding ways to include our kids early on, and then it's grown to a scale now where we have people that help us out just because of the volume that we're producing, and we're just needing hands on deck. And then there's times where they'll come in and help us on their own volition, and there's times like today where we're making 135, 150 challah, and it needs to be braided pretty quick so that the dough is moving fast, and the mixes happen contiguously, and it was 3 different mixes just because our mixer isn't huge, and so now we have to braid it and shape it within an hour and a half. And we're like, hey guys, this isn't a matter of if you want to, it's we need your help today. Yeah. And we're going to pay you. We pay them. And I think one of the cool things is just to see even them develop a life skill. That's a couple of them. One, just the value of work. Like they had to show up for work. We have taught them what it looks like to work hard and to work well.
Yeah.
But then also just like watching my 9-year-old son shape dough, like he's progressed from where he was a year ago, and his comfortability, like something, whereas a bagel is pretty easy to shape, right? Because it's low hydration, it's not sticky. And I would put on the opposite of the spectrum is our potato buns, which, because they have potato in them and just a little more hydrated, they can be pretty challenging for someone that doesn't know what they're doing. In fact, we have had many people get kicked off our bench on the dish just because it wasn't working. And to see him, this is our 9-year-old I'm speaking about, like the way his hands are moving with the dough, there is like the vernacular of his hands is like a familiarity with it that has only come from the fact that he's grown up in a bread shop. And so it's something really
he's your youngest, right? The youngest of the 4? Yeah, that's amazing because I remember how young he was when you started, and now to imagine him up there shaping, breads and
He
bagels and challah.
he was primarily a taste tester in the early days.
Just using the bread. He was using it as Play-Doh. I mean, that was really what he was doing. That's
Yeah, right. But he always had a very good palate.
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely.
So that's really cool to watch that happen, and also for them to feel like they're contributing and even getting paid for it, and earning their through their work value. That's it's a great heartwarming story. It's the Waltons, all over again here.
Well, I would say it's heartwarming, but then like there's like an underbelly to it that's real, which is like the the collateral damage of having a bustling bread business in our home is that it sort of it can wreak havoc, and it can wreak havoc on space in the way that like boiling and baking 700 bagels in your house every Tuesday, just the steam alone wreaks havoc on the physical space. But then also just when you walk into your home and there's bread everywhere,
Yeah.
your sense of space is a little bit compromised, and so they've had to like there's been challenges, real challenges as a family, and talking about it, and I think there's been some pain points that has been good. Like we don't feel like our job as parents is to remove them and to remove those, but to at least dialogue about them and come to understand better how it is impacting everybody in our family.
How do you school the kids?
Well, currently, when we started the business, all four were home and they were homeschooled, which
Wow.
meant,
You were homeschooling while you were doing the bakery.
yes.
Wow.
When we first started, all four of them were home. I'm trying to think. This would have been 2020. So our oldest was in fifth grade. We had a fifth grade, a kindergartner, a first grader, and then a 3-year-old. So since then, a lot has changed. Our oldest ended up going to a homeschool co-op 2 days a week in middle school and just really loves learning, loves being in the classroom. So she switched to a 5-day-a-week school for high school. She's a sophomore in high school now, which is crazy.
Amazing.
And we have 2 middle schoolers who are at that same little 2-day-a-week homeschool co-op, and then an elementary school student. But I feel like it's like year to year, what are people needing? How are our kids doing academically? I think for me, those beginning years of homeschool when I sat on the couch for hours reading books and having tea time and going for nature walks, like quickly went out the window when our bread business happened, because I needed to fit in schooling in the morning in order to jump into the bread shop by lunch and help most afternoons, sometimes into evenings. And so I think Doug and I both just figuring out as a family, like what our kids need, what I want, what our family needs. All those are.
I would say Kate does an amazing job of integrating school life, work, and so like even today, I feel like with our 11-year-old and our 13-year-old who are they're not in that co-op today, they're home. Their day has looked like doing school, listening to a book on tape, going outside and playing with each other, playing like Foursquare. And after we were done with the hall, I jumped outside and played some game they invented. And now they're back to doing some work, and they helped us shape Holla for an hour and a half. So the days never look the same. It's not like a schedule like you'd have in a traditional school setting where you show up, you have this class, and the days are free form, and there's like room for, kind of spur of the moment learning, spur of the moment. Hey, we need your help in the bread shop.
Yeah. So a never ending improv.
Exactly.
Well, obviously and clearly there've been a lot of sacrifices that you've had to make. And how about the kids themselves? Do they ever say to you, listen, we're not playing anymore. We're not doing this anymore. Or we resent this, or do you get any kind of pushback from them ever? Or are they still enjoying the ride?
Oh no, I think, and that's when I reference the pain points.
Yeah.
I think, and I've used this illustration maybe with you before, Peter, but we kind of joked that we brought this little baby in 2020 when we started this business. It was like bringing a baby dragon into the home, and it was cute and novel, and you can pet it, and it fit really well in our home. And 5 years later, it's like a fire breathing monstrosity that like
It's a Brontosaurus now.
Its tail stretches and weaves through like the living room and into the kids' bedrooms, and it's kind of like we need to get like I think we've been feeling this for a while collectively, all 6 of us. We need to get this thing out of here.
All right. Well, we're going to get into like next steps in a minute, but before we do, I don't want to forget about going back into the nuts and bolts of your breads. You make some really unique breads that you've developed without a whole lot of baking background. You've kind of taught yourself the art and craft of bread baking and done a lot of experimentation. You've worked with millers like Anson Mills and companies like that to help you find unique flours that you want to do. Can you talk a little bit about your process, the creative process for bringing these breads into being? And we'll talk a little bit about some specific products that have become sort of your signature products.
Yeah, so I think one of the advantages of a cottage bakery, like what we're currently in right now, there's a few advantages. Is one, we're pretty small and nimble, so we can create products, and because we have a pre-order model where I'll send out an email to our customers. A newsletter goes out every Saturday, and it goes out to around I think 5,500 people in Charlotte, and I will have tested something, and then if I like it, I'll write about it in that email. There'll be a photo of it, and then those customers have a chance to respond. And so I'll know pretty quickly once that email goes out whether or not, like, how much I need to order, whether it's a success. And so, like, just not being locked into something with a huge amount of overhead, etc., is really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side of that, having Anson Mills so close by is very inspiring because they have like a ton of variety when it comes to what they offer, by way of wheat and barley and corn and rice.
Yeah.
And
they're really a treasure of a company, and we have them almost in our backyard here.
exactly. And so they're able to, and I think this is one of the things that for someone that, like, I was very interested in creating new things. I loved the experience of trying new things, but didn't have the experience, especially around milling, to really know what I didn't know. And so I would, Glenn Roberts, who you're friends with, was a huge help, especially in the early days, where I'd be like, hey, Glenn, I have an idea for this. This is what I'm thinking. And he would be like, well, what you just suggested, that sort of coarseness or grind on that specific grain, it is not best suited for that. I think you'd be better suited if we milled it like this and in this capacity. And so it became a back and forth conversation of I would present ideas on breads and things that I thought would be interesting, this is sort of his mantra of flavor and nutrition being two sides of the same coin. And so it just became really exciting for us to believe that we were getting this freshly milled, stone ground organic grains that was a lot of it new crop, had just come out of the ground. Knowing that, like, our job as bakers wasn't to like reinvent the wheel, but just to take this raw material that was super special and find a way to present it to our customers that sort of delivered on the promise of it being good.
Mm-hmm.
Especially this business model that you have is really unique and special. I think your background in internet sales and things like that probably helped with that. But essentially, your breads are all pre-sold before you even bake them, right? I mean, you get paid for your breads before they pick them up. Is that correct?
Correct. So people pre-order once that email goes out. Our website goes live every Friday at 5 p.m. with the following week's menu. And so we still have to do some estimating, obviously, because everything's a sourdough 3-day process. The bread that's picked up on Tuesday, I mean, in a lot of ways, it started, like, the math for it starts on Saturday. So we've gotten pretty good at kind of knowing, like, based on where numbers are on a Saturday, how to project out. And then if we have some extras at our pickup location, generally speaking, customers that come to pick up one thing, see something else that's available, they'll probably try it. So there's been very, very few times in the last 5 years where we've brought bread home.
Yeah, well, let's talk about some of the breads that you do make. I know that you make challah every week. You got a big challah business, for the communities around here that really, cherish that. And a sourdough hollow is not something you're going to see in every neighborhood. This is pretty special. But also, what other sourdough? What are your basic breads that you do make on a regular basis? And then I want to talk about sort of this with the elephant in the room, this bagel business that is kind of exploding underneath you.
So I would say we have traditionally we have hearth loaves and sandwich loaves, and the hearth loaves, whether it's a country loaf or like some we call it a rustic Italian, has a little olive oil in it, and it's got like a white wheat that is very mild in flavor, and so like just creating products that kind of meet like different people's needs. So, a country loaf might have 25% whole grain, but it's a red wheat. So a little bit more kind of tannin forward flavors. And then we make something that's also a hearth loaf that's milder in flavor for people who still want something that's rustic, but a little more mild. Every week, we usually do a couple different whole grain breads, which, one of them being like our newest one, we call it a plant protein bread. And a lot of it was crafted in a back and forth with Anson Mills, learning that they had this flour that I'd never heard of called teff, which is gluten-free, but really high in amino acids and high in protein. And so using that as like 50% of the mix.
50% of the bread is teff?
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
it's like
that's a lot.
A batter bread with tons of seeds and oat groats and lentils. And
so is it dense? Is it very dense, or does it open up? It
kind of eats like a German rye, but without that rye flavor and kind of molassesy smell. We like to slice it, freeze it immediately, just because it's got a ton of moisture locked in it.
Yeah,
and then it eats super light though, because it's got sprouted spelt and that teff are the only grains in it, and we convert the starter that we use to a rye, 100% rye starter.
And you say rye, you mentioned rye. So did you also do a rye bread?
We do, that one, especially in South Charlotte, there aren't a ton of lederhosens and people craving 100% rye.
This is not the big German community.
It's a niche bread, so it has a loyal following. So
I know 3 different kinds of rye.
Yeah,
so depending on what we're.
We have like a deli rye, a rustic. We call it a Brutzi rye. It's got actually, you said you loved onion rye. I don't know if you told me that in person or it's in one of your books.
Yeah,
but
probably.
We make an onion rye that's rustic with a Italian Abruzzi rye. And
Doug didn't mention this in crafting our menu, but I feel like so much of our creativity also comes just what we want to eat. Yeah. So, we want a Reuben tonight, so I'll be like, put the deli rye on the menu,
Yeah, right. Well, that's kind of a cool thing because you're following your,
exactly.
It's all organic in that regard. What about pizzas? Are you still doing pizzas?
Well, we make pizzas. Actually, we made them on Friday night for our oldest daughter and about 15 of her friends. We had a Halloween party in the bread shop, which was really, really fun. And I have like a special love for making pizzas, but we're not making them for customers currently, mainly because the health department sort of frowned upon a cottage bakery making pizzas. Now, that's a point of contention because we make focaccia pizzas. In my opinion, it's another type of flatbread, so why not?
Yeah.
But we've had to put that on hold for the time being.
Well, let's move into this other product that you started doing bagels. That started after you got launched. You started bringing bagels in, and even doing pop-ups like every now and then with donuts and other kind of fun things, cinnamon buns. But the bagels somehow kind of seem to have gone. I don't know what I want to say viral, but they exploded. They kind of burst out of the gate. What's happening with bagels, and let's talk about what's unique about your bagels.
So
it's his favorite product to make.
I love bagels. I'm from New York City. I grew up in Manhattan, and so for me, I would say when we first started making bagels, it was really disappointing because I knew our bagel wasn't very good. And I forget when it happened, but there was a clear, like we were just always tweaking recipe, experimenting, so much of the time it's not just about like the ingredients, but the process with the sourdough. And so just tweaking processes, messing with the starter we were using, tweaking that. And I remember there was like a clear as day where I tried something different, and the bagels just like baked totally different. They were bigger, they ate lighter. They had a chew that we liked with a little crisp on the outside. As one food writer who came over to try them said, like, they have some soul to them, which I loved.
Oh, nice.
And so we just kind of started putting them out there, and I guess it was part of it was just supply and demand. Like, we could only make around 500 of them, 450 of them at a time, and it became this thing where like people knew they would sell out, so they would stalk the website, and as soon as it went live, like they would gobble them up. So by the time the email went out on Saturday, they were already all sold out. So then it kind of became like this self-fulfilling thing where it's like, how do we get the bagels? People were talking about it. So it was just one of those things. And
Did you have to put a limit on how many people could buy and stuff like that?
Oh, no, definitely not. I wasn't about to inflict or impose.
Okay, so if they got there first, they got to order as many as they wanted.
That's right.
But I mean, it can't be easy to make bagels in a home kitchen and home bakery. I mean, you're boiling them on your stovetop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we boil on eight at a time, and then we can bake 56 at a time.
That's a lot of processing when you're doing 500 bagels. I mean, that's a lot of cycles.
And we actually added a fridge in January of this year. And that allowed us to go from making around 450 bagels to around 800 bagels.
Wow, 800's a lot of bagels.
And yeah, that takes some time.
Well, one of the bagels that you did, and I want to talk about this one specifically. I don't know if you have any hanging around, but you do a blueberry bagel that is not like any blueberry bagel that I've ever seen anywhere else. And I call it a giant blueberry that looks like a bagel, because you make it with fresh blueberries. Tell me if I'm getting this process right. I think that's how I saw you do it. Fresh blueberries provide all the blueberry flavor, but also all the moisture. You don't add water to the dough. All the water comes from the blueberries themselves. Most bagel shops add dry blueberries to the mix and just mix with it. But you're using the blueberries for the hydration as well as for everything else. And it has more blueberry flavor than any bagel I've ever tasted. It's like eating fresh blueberries. So.
Hey, thanks. I agree.
I mean, I think I should let Kaitlin talk about it because it literally is she has lots of favorites.
Get one out of the freezer and show it to you.
Yeah, I'd love to just show it to those people who are watching the video version of this podcast.
Kaitlin keeps a secret stash of all of her favorite things.
That's one advantage of having it right there in your home.
She's got some pumpkin chocolate chip bagels in there, and she's got some blueberry bagels. But exactly, so you nailed it. I mean, that's one of those kind of tinkering, tweaking, trying to make it better. Like, how do you? Because if you're going to eat a blueberry bagel, kind of are two criteria. Where one, it can't have anything artificial in it, no like flavoring or coloring So how do we make it actually blueberry?
This is currently frozen.
Okay. Wow.
I'm gonna warm it up. Show you.
It's cut in half. I may have to get in my car and just drive over there.
You're welcome to. Kaitlin won't share her blueberry bagels with many people, but she'll definitely share them with you.
I know that's one of the perks of being friends with you is you guys take good care of me whenever those times when I need a fix. So the bagel is very blueberry, very blue, full of blueberry flavor. Your bagels are bigger than the average bagel. What is a blueberry bagel like that? First of all, it's got to be way expensive to make because fresh blueberries are not cheap. So what do you sell a blueberry bagel for?
We don't sell them individually. We sell them in packs of 6, and I think we sell it for $20. So a pack of 6 is around $20, which
$3.50 a piece, $3.50.
And they're one of those things. It's a labor of love that I'm not really sure. We might be losing money on our blueberry bagel. It's like Kaitlin loves them, and so I'm going to keep making them.
You can't take them off now, but that's not bad. $3.50 because a lot of places the new bagel sort of surge is the bagels are going for $3 a piece,
and it might not even be blueberry, and it might not even have
and it's not sourdough,
and it might not be sourdough. So
absolutely,
all things considered, I think it's a pretty fair price. We're using organic blueberries in it, and there's a lot of
really. And is it all fresh blueberries? Or are they frozen? How do you get them? That's a lot of blueberries.
I found that frozen works better.
So you thaw them first, or you just throw them in frozen and kind of grind them into the dough?
Yeah, so kind of almost like macerate them a little bit and draw out the liquid, and then let that sit overnight in the fridge, and then into the mix they go.
Wow. Well, this leads to the big question: is that you're sort of maxing out. Your house is starting to show the wear and tear of having a bakery, as part of it. You've got steam damage happening everywhere, whatever it is, whatever space limitations. Where do you go from here? You've built, you've accomplished sort of phase one of a business. The entrepreneurial phase of your business has, I would say, fulfilled the vision that you started out with, and maybe maxed out that vision. What's your choices that you're going to make in terms of growing this business and taking it to the next stage?
You want to talk about it?
I mean, I think that was a question we asked ourselves for a while.
Yeah.
Just kind of like from the beginning, there wasn't this, oh, I want to have a bakery one day, so let's start a little tiny business to grow into something bigger. But it's almost like we found ourselves here and we're looking at each other like, are we bakers? Like,
Right.
is this really what we're going to do for the next 10 or 15 years of our life? And I think for me as a wife, it's really neat to watch Doug use his giftings and his creativity and his just business skills that he's just developed through multiple different jobs in our marriage, kind of all come together in one place. I feel like we have a great community in Charlotte that really believes in our product, loves us, extremely supportive. And so it felt like we'd be missing something to not take that next step in terms of what we could do and what kind of fits our gifts. So yeah, we're excited. We actually, there's a space that's less than about a mile from our home that we'll be transitioning into hopefully late next spring, early next summer, depending on how long that process takes.
Yeah, and it's always going to take longer than you think. I can tell you that.
Exactly.
And it's a mile from your place, and it's a mile closer to my place, so it's that much easier for me to get over there.
I mean, I think it feels exciting because it's the right time, right? And there's a lot of things that could change with that, but good change, we believe.
So it's going to be basically you're going from a cottage bakery to a brick-and-mortar bakery location that's separate from your home. And are you going to do all the products that you're currently doing, or are you going to focus on the bagels, or what's your product mix going to be? And before I forget, I go through say this now because I'll forget to say it later, is the big question for everyone, and I'm sure that one of the choices that factored into yours is the work-life balance issue. As you've grown this thing, it seems like you created something, and then all of a sudden you had, went from the baby dragon to the big dragon, and then you have to find a way to balance all this in your life. So how did you kind of work all that out?
We have it. I mean,
We went on a walk today.
we literally went on a walk today to talk about that very thing.
That's when you can write a book about it.
I mean, I don't think our life, that word balance. It's funny, we've never used that word. I think it's more of like, hey, we have these categories of like things that we know are important, and like, hey, how are we doing in this area, or how are we doing in this area? It feels like this one might be kind of being forgotten. So I think there's definitely some hard things that just come with running a business in your home and having it grow, and just feeling the tug of that, and having it constrict your time in ways that it was never constricted before. So we haven't figured out the work-life balance.
But I know that, it's a big step to go from a business in your home itself, which includes the kids, and it's all part of your family experience, to a separate location that's a standalone business where you may have employees. The kids are getting to the point where they may not be available to help you with the shaping of the challahs and this and that. So you're moving into a new phase of business, and I'm sure that it's it's a thoughtful process that you have to go through to do that, and a scary process. Do you have a sense of where you see this all going? Do you have a longer term vision than just getting through each day to the next day?
I do think one of the nice things about this new space is like today, like making 600 bagels that takes 4 hours or 5 hours here, we can do in an hour there. And like, so our current space, like I said earlier, is 200 square feet, and our walk-in fridge in the new space is going to be 200 square feet. And
Another scale, huge different scale. Yeah.
so I think there's just opportunity for automation and for efficiency. And I mean, even just from an equipment standpoint, like I like to joke that our ovens that we're baking with now compared to what we will be baking with are like easy bake ovens. You know, no bells and whistles, none of the good stuff. And so I just think I'm excited because I think our product stands to only improve. I think it will take a lot of time to figure out new processes, to train people, to find the right people. We both talk a lot about this idea of the last 5 years feels like a season. Our kids were in a unique season of life, and the bread shop in our home was perfect. It was a really good fit for our family. And I think we're hoping and hopeful that this next iteration of brick and mortar is a season that's also fit for our family. And as they, we're going to have high schoolers, and they're going to be driving, and they're going to want to have a place to work and bring their friends and have their friends work.
Yeah.
And, Kayla alluded to me kind of doing something that she feels like I'm in my sweet spot, but I've always said, like, the thought of being a baker was never exciting to me. It was always doing something with her, with our family. So I always joke, like, I might be leaving, but I'm bringing you with me. Like, you're like, I better get you and the kids at the bread shop 2.0, or else like, this isn't what we want.
Are you seeing that bagels will be the lead item there? Will you do more bagels or more of everything?
I think the cool thing is there's so many things we can't do now because we're a cottage bakery. And so I do think we see ourselves being able to make more bagels, but then also do things on the bagels that we can't do, whether it's cream cheese or smoked salmon, eggs.
So it'll be more than just the breads, and you'll have schmears and side things, and what about and maybe sandwiches and stuff like that?
Coffee, and maybe there's a pizza night.
We joke because I'm always like, ooh, we should try this. Ooh, we should try that. And Doug gives me a hard time because I think we both know that there's a lot of potential, but we want to start in a healthy way. And we can always grow it, but we don't want to say yes to too many things from the beginning, and then it being too much.
Will the space allow you to have cafe tables and things like that for people to hang out there, or will it be grab and go?
A little bit of both. We're hoping for a big patio space and then a little bit of indoor seating.
Good. Well, I know how much you love coffee. I know Doug loves to make coffee, and so if you're going to have coffee there, it's going to probably have to be really good coffee, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you could live with yourself if you weren't putting out good coffee. So, and if you have good coffee, then you've got a whole other kind of business going as well, because coffee can be very profitable compared to even bagels, which are, they're profitable, but a cup of coffee is more profit in that than there is in a bagel. So, so I'm thinking that as you grow, the space now allows you to have other revenue streams besides just the sale of dough products.
And this is when we started this. Like the thing that it gives me a little bit of hopefulness is like when we first started this, when we met you, we were so green and we knew nothing. It was like one of the family models was we're just gonna figure this out. And so like we didn't have to start feeling like we had like all the knowledge we needed to run a successful cottage bakery. But we're just gonna learn as we go. We're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna trust that as we make mistakes, we'll learn from them. Our customers will understand, and we're just gonna keep going. And so I think that's the way I feel about this next phase. There's so many things I've never done before, and we've never done before, and we're gonna have to figure it out.
And we'll call Peter.
Yeah, I'm like, Peter, you want to come be our barista on a Saturday? Come help us.
Well, I may very well be there. If you could put a ping pong table, in that space as well, I'd come over and play. One of the best things that I think you have going for you now is that now you have 5 years of success under your belt. It's not just an idea. You can do it. You have a track record, and that gives you confidence to kind of take bigger and bigger steps as you grow. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting for us. We have the easy job. We get to come in and just buy product and eat and watch you grow it. But it's going to be, I think, exciting for all of you, to see where it can go. I like the fact that you're used to the improvisational model, so that you don't feel like you have to have everything spelled out ahead of time. But also, a lot of businesses do start with the notion of realizing we have to also build in a long-term exit strategy for ourselves. How far do we want to take this before we either pass it on to the next generation or sell it? And are you building something that you think could exist without you being in the center of it? Or is it going to be totally dependent on your presence being there, which it currently is?
Is that a question or like advice?
It is, but it's like wondering if you've thought about that. And if not, then think about it.
Think about it. Thanks, Peter. Thanks for.
We do have these conversations when I come over for coffee. We do talk about things like that sometimes. And but again, everybody has to find their own way. You have found your way in a unique way that worked for you guys, and it's rare. It's a rare model. And you brought the skill sets and stuff, and then added more skills to it. So I guess the question really is, what do you think you've learned in these 5 years that you can apply to the next so many years going for, we'll say, the next 5 years as you build through this next phase?
Mhm.
I mean, I think neither of us has ever really been planners from the standpoint of like having like a 5, 10, 15, 20-year plan. I think we've always kind of lived our life from like let's just kind of do what's next.
Mhm.
And that's just kind of how we roll. If 5 years ago I was making leather bags and shoes in a factory in Europe,
Wow.
and selling them into golf clubs, and if you had told me at that point that 5 years later I'd have a bakery and we'd be expanding out of our home, and I wouldn't have understood even what that meant, and I would have probably laughed. So it's hard to even imagine 5 years from now like where we'll be. And I think we're very much just trusting that we're taking this step in faith, and we don't know what tomorrow holds, but
Yeah.
we feel like this is the right next step for us.
Yeah, and I think too, like right now, Doug's wearing so many different hats that I feel like it's probably hard for him to even separate which one of those do I actually like to do, because I just have to do them all.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful in this next phase, as we're able to hire people and train people that we like and respect, that he will be able to kind of figure out, oh, what piece of this business do I actually really want to step more into and give reins, to someone else in these other areas.
That's a really good, that's a strategic insight right there, because you're thinking one of the steps we have to get to is a point where he's not living deep in the weeds and the forest, but can be above the forest and be taking big views and big picture,
Sure.
perspectives on these things, both of you. And so even if it's not written down as part of your, strategic plan, I can see it's already there. I mean, I know, Kate, you were a very serious athlete in college. Doug, I heard you say you played sports in college as well. What was your sport?
She's a more accomplished athlete.
I know, Kate, you were a
played
terrific lacrosse. You were on the team at Duke University. That's a serious lacrosse team, and you were at Davidson. What sport did you play there?
I was on the baseball team.
Baseball, yes. I know you love baseball. So both of those games, do require strategy. They require, a game plan. When you go into any lacrosse team is going to have a game plan, just like a soccer team or a football team has a game plan for how they attack the problem. Do you see any of that sort of pre-training that you've had in sports carrying over to what you're doing now?
I mean, I think so much of it impacts me on a day-to-day basis, even in terms of just our mentality in the workspace and kind of our ability to go and grind and like get things done. But I think for me, actually, the business side, I'm most excited about the people, developing people, investing in the people that work for us, but also impacting the community. And I think so much of that, I have learned and experienced through athletics.
That's a good point. And of course, a bakery is classically a center place for community to build around. You've already built the community of your customer base and the people you know. That's going to get even bigger, and you will become a community focal point, whether you like it or not, because that's what bakery has become. So I think, and it's good that you're oriented that way to want to do something like that. I could see things you weren't even thinking about now becoming opportunities and possibilities down the road.
Sure.
And the fun thing for me is I get to watch and enjoy, kind of go along vicariously for the ride while you grow it out and watch your kids grow up, which is really cool also.
Thank you.
So congratulations for everything that you're doing. And, just wish you the best. I can't wait. You think that you're going to try to be open sometime in the spring, maybe, or by summer, if all things go well at the new facility?
We're starting demo tomorrow, Peter. So
Yeah.
one step at a time.
Really? You're already at the demolition stage. If people want to follow you, they follow you, let's say on Instagram, is it Team Rose Breads? Is that where they should look to follow you?
So on Instagram, it's at Team Rose Bread, singular, not plural.
Okay.
And then the best thing to do is, if you're local to Charlotte, is just to go on our website, teamrosebread.com, and sign up for our newsletter. And that's the way to know what we're doing every week. We just actually released today our Thanksgiving menu. So we're entering the busy season.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. We're coming in now. How many rolls do you anticipate making for Thanksgiving?
Want to know?
What do you make? Is it a
Can't wait, though. I don't even tell Kaitlin what's on the menu or how many we're making, because it just will give everybody anxiety. But
I know that was when I had my bakery. The Thanksgiving rolls were the biggest day of the year for us and made us crazy. But but you do it. Your roll is, if I recall, it's a potato roll, isn't it? A soft potato roll.
So we do potato buns, but then we also for Thanksgiving we do sourdough brioche rolls. And I would say, some of the distinctives of them, it has some organic milk, it has organic flour, organic eggs, but then we use this really special roasted barley, this heirloom ancient grain barley from Anson Mill. It's called Scott's beer.
Wow.
We like to joke that it was one of George Washington's favorite grains, apparently. But it has a ton of flavor. Yeah, it was. I mean, is
the grain ground into flour, or is it cooked and put in as a whole grain?
No, it's ground into, it's like a 00, like really finely milled, beautiful, like kind of malty flour. It's amazing. So that adds a ton of flavor. That's where, like, it's almost like a really good shortbread cookie flavor, put in the form of a bun. And we do those as take and bake, so customers can bake them fresh for Thanksgiving. And then we're the only bakery in Charlotte or spot that I know, and we can do this because it's in our home. But on Thanksgiving morning, we wake up and walk into our bread shop, and we'll probably bake around somewhere between 1,000 and 1,500 cinnamon rolls.
Wow.
And customers will pick them up fresh on Thanksgiving morning to enjoy. So that's really fun. Well, it's fun for them.
It's quite a gift from you guys to give up a big part of your Thanksgiving. We tried to get all our work done before Thanksgiving morning so that we didn't have to think about it on Thanksgiving Day, but to give up that part of the day. And again, this is a community thing. You're now at the heart of a community of people that live around here that look forward to this. And once you've spoiled them and they know that they can do this, they're not going to let you stop.
Yeah. It's
Well, so those of you who are listening or watching, follow Team Rose Bread on Instagram. Go to the website at www.teamrosebread and stay tuned, because we'll keep you posted. Maybe after you get open, maybe we can get you back and we can talk about what it's like. Who knows? Maybe I could go over there and we can broadcast right from the bakery and show people.
You're welcome.
If you do that, Peter, we're gonna put you to work. We'll need your hands. Well, we love them.
I always enjoy shaping loaves with you guys. I don't get to do it very often, but when I go in and you've gotten so good at this that I can't keep up with you when I go in and help shape, with you. So
yeah, right.
So we'll see.
Master.
Well, none of us can keep up with our 11-year-old Sammy, who just walked into the kitchen.
Feeding my blueberry bagel that I toasted.
I got to let you go so you can get the other half of that bagel before she eats it. Well, say hi to all the kids for me, and I'll look forward to seeing you all soon. And good luck getting through Thanksgiving. It's a push, but I know you'll do it. You've done it before. And again, congratulations and thanks so much for coming on and sharing your story with all of our viewers and listeners. Team Rose Bread, keep your eye on them. Over the next couple of years, there could be a lot more stories to tell as this grows. I hope well, Doug, you're a writer. Hopefully you're journaling all this stuff and keeping it for the book when you get to tell the published version of this whole thing down the road.
Well, thanks for having us on, Peter.
We love you.
We love you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, take care. Love you too. And thank you, all of you, for joining us on Pizza Quest today. We'll see you at the next episode.